Yo, what's going on, guys? Seth Spartan here, nutrition training and hormone expert and Prometheus Pro bodybuilder with Prometheus HRT, the world's best testosterone and hormone replacement clinic. Use my code SPARTAN to save on either testosterone or HGH replacement therapy or peptides, Anavar, Anadrol, and the list goes on as long as you qualify. So guys, without any further ado, this is Primobolan unleashed like you've never heard it before. We're going to go through all the pros, unbiased, uncensored, absolutely everything you need to know. Then we're going to jump over into the cons. Again, unbiased, uncensored, everything you need to know. We're going to drop down into dosage, talk about dosage for Primobolan, and then we're going to go on and finish up with any extra additional information that really not just that you need to know, but stuff that people just plain and simple are not talking about. So guys, without any further ado, I'm Seth Spartan. This is Primobolan Unleashed. Here we go. So guys, first and foremost, starting in the pros, Primobolan, anabolic androgenic rating or ratio of 88 anabolic to only 50.5 androgenic based on the latest information we have on Primobolan. Again, anabolic 88, androgenic 50.5 based on the latest information that we have. So obviously, in regards to comparing to a baseline testosterone, guys, what do we see? We see that Primobolan is slightly less anabolic than testosterone, and also about half as androgenic as testosterone. So when looking at Primobolan, just looking at the scientific and medical literature, just on paper, just looking at that, we see that this is a pretty weak anabolic steroid in terms of both, obviously, androgenic. That's what we want. We want a weaker one, typically for building muscle and also medical practical application, but also in terms of anabolic, it is slightly less than testosterone. However, I want to touch on this for just a second. The anabolic androgenic component of Primobolan makes it very, very advantageous or efficient for medical purposes. We'll talk on this in a second, but Primobolan, guys, was deemed, not just deemed, but Primobolan was so safe that they were even prescribing it to not just children, but wait for it, infants as well, to bring up infants that were struggling from severe weight loss or weight gain based on or for different medical conditions. So Primobolan, extremely advantageous in terms of medicine and medical treatments. Moving on in the pros, cover the anabolic androgenic component. Next, Primobolan is a DHT, that's a DHT derivative anabolic steroid. What does this mean? We have three main classes of anabolic steroids. We have testosterone derivatives, we have 19-nor derivatives, and we have DHT derivative anabolic steroids. Obviously, Primobolan, being a DHT, dihydrotestosterone derivative steroid, would fit right into that DHT class. Now, I talk about the classes in other videos. I don't want to talk too much on it, but testosterone derivatives, guys, are usually more so first class or first generation steroids. The more advanced steroids moved into DHT derivative steroids. 19-nor steroids were usually prescribed or not just prescribed, but created by scientists as more of an experiment. And a lot of the 19-nors carry with them some pretty negative side effects. Go watch my video on DECA Unleashed for more information. That's a famous 19-nor. But anyways, guys, DHT derivatives are usually, not always, but usually more advanced than testosterone derivatives. Think equipoise, think Dianabol, both testosterone derivatives. So DHT derivative steroids, other DHT derivatives like Primobolan in this class would be drugs like what? Anavar, Anadrol, which are probably two of the most powerful, potent anabolic steroids not only for muscle building and mass building, but also used in the medical community for a variety of conditions. So DHT derivative steroids, guys, also typically exhibit longer half-lives. More resistance to metabolism means greater fat burning and also what? More muscle gain. Why? Because it's harder to break down, and also no estrogen conversion. I can't remember if I already said that. Moving on in the pros, Primobolan Unleashed. Here we go. No estrogen conversion. Just touched on that just a second ago, but Primobolan being a DHT derivative injectable anabolic steroid, because it's in the DHT class, not just theoretically, but in real world practical studies and results, we see what? Primobolan, because it's a DHT derivative, not a testosterone or a 19-nor, it does not convert to estrogen, nor can it. Okay, so no estrogen conversion with Primobolan. And again, this is extremely advantageous. We talked about how Primobolan is just slightly less anabolic than testosterone on paper using the scientific rating. And this ratio, by the way, guys, lines up exactly with what the real world studies we have and real world effects on Primobolan. It's a very low androgenic and pretty high anabolic compared to obviously how androgenic the compound is. So again, for medical purposes, great it's pretty good in terms of the rating, but the big take home, guys, the big benefit with Primobolan, why it's loved and was used in the medical community, is what? Basically the fact that it has such low risk of side effects, has virtually no toxicity, and also it's just an extremely safe and gentle anabolic steroid. Okay, again, it was given to infants. That's huge in terms of speaking measures to its safety. Moving on, no estrogen conversion. Moving down in the pros, Primobolan, guys, low androgenic rating. We talked about this a little bit with the ratio already, but now there are drugs that have lower androgenic ratings. But in terms of Primobolan, the reason that this drug is preferred, again, is, there's other drugs with a lower androgenic rating, but Primobolan is pretty much the only DHT, either the only or one of the only DHT derivative steroids with a huge excellent safety rating, and also being able to be taken as an injectable steroid. So, injectable DHT derivative steroids are very, very rare, and Primobolan fits into that category exactly. So, moving on, low androgenic. That makes, in terms of a muscle builder, it helps having a low androgenic, because you can take more without having androgenic sides. We'll get into that in the cons or in a little bit, but in terms of low androgenic, this is the icing on the cake for Primobolan, both combined with the no estrogen conversion. Moving on in the pros, Primobolan Unleashed. Primobolan is an okay muscle builder. Now, I was debating putting this in the pros, but in regards to Primobolan, can you build muscle, and will you build muscle on Primobolan? Yes, guys, absolutely. It is a muscle builder, and it is an okay muscle builder, but what are we comparing it to? We're comparing it against testosterone milligram per milligram. So not just on paper, is it slightly less anabolic, but we see this in the real world. With Primobolan, what are some benefits over testosterone? First and foremost, you're going to have less sides with Primobolan. It is extremely, not weak, but it is extremely well tolerated. In fact, I would argue, again, I don't have studies to back this up, but I would argue that Primobolan is the second most well tolerated anabolic steroid in existence, besides our natural testosterone. Okay, so it speaks measures again that they gave this to infants. It's an okay muscle builder. We'll leave it at that. I'm not going to sugarcoat it one way or the other. Not going to tell you guys Primobolan the best thing since, sliced bread. That's not the case. Moving on to the pros. We extremely safe. Children and even infants have been dosed with Primobolan. We already talked about this, so I'm just going to move on. Guys, half-life. Primobolan half-life. We are talking what? Right around 10 days with the enanthate ester attached on. So right around 10 days, give or take, based on genetics and the individual's metabolism. Let's see here. Moving down in the pros, and this will be the last pro, guys. Primobolan. Everybody's going to know already what I'm talking about. Primobolan. Golden era steroid and sentimental value. This is huge with Primobolan. This is one reason that the world and, bodybuilding, fitness, athletics cannot and will not move past Primobolan. If Arnold did it, everybody wants to do it. So some of the golden era drugs, Dianabol, all right, Primobolan, and what? Deca. So the golden era bodybuilders and the golden era of bodybuilding basically made this compound, legendary in terms of fame. So, Primobolan holds that golden era steroid sentimental value, and that's pretty much, the main reason people want to use this drug. They think that, I don't want to break anybody's bubble here, but I'm just going to say it how it is, guys. With Primobolan, all right, with Primobolan, most people really want to take Primobolan. They got to have the Primobolan. They got to talk about it. They got to take it. Why? Because of the sentimental value and the value attached from the golden era. Not to burst your bubble here, but Primobolan, guys, is highly overhyped. It's not as good as people think it is. Okay, I'm not going to take away. I'm not. People are probably going to get. Some people are going to get mad at me for saying that. But the thing is, guys, is that in terms of size. Okay, first and foremost, size, strength, fat loss. Maybe not fat loss. Primobolan would have slight advantage in fat loss over something like testosterone, but slight. So in terms of muscle building, in terms of strength gains, testosterone is going to be far better and far cheaper, depending on which pharmacy you're getting Primobolan from. But, it just has to be said, there's nothing. Primobolan is a great and safe anabolic steroid. Again, do everything safely, legally through your doctor. But Primobolan is extremely safe, well tolerated, a great anabolic steroid for the medical community. But the thing is, guys, is that besides the no estrogen conversion and the low androgenic, there's really no advantage to using Primobolan besides those two purposes. And if you were using it for those purposes, you would be better off using Anavar, which has an anabolic component of about almost 500. I believe it's 478 anabolic is Anavar based on the latest studies. Okay, so you come to your own conclusions, but I like Primobolan, but it's really, if I had the choice between 300 milligrams of Primobolan, 300 milligrams of testosterone all day, every day. Okay, so again, do everything safely, legally through your doctor or physician. Moving on, we're done with the pros. That's Primobolan Unleashed for the pros. Let's move into the cons and knock this out. So, in terms of the cons, we got to start off with the big con, the big three cons with anabolic steroids in general. Okay, whether it's testosterone, Primobolan. If it's an anabolic steroid, we got to address the biggest con because, first and foremost, guys, it is a deadly con. Anabolic steroids in general, it's besides extreme cases of misuse, or abuse, there's really only one really, really bad, terrible, negative side effect with anabolic steroids. And what is that? With misuse or abuse, plaque buildup in the arteries, cardiovascular disease, and heart wall thickening. All right, this is the big thing with anabolic steroids. Okay, so with misuse or abuse, and Primobolan is not exempt from this. You're going to speed up plaque buildup in the arteries, cardiovascular disease such as atherosclerosis, which is a hardening of the arteries, and also heart wall thickening. Okay, heart wall thickening refers to when the actual heart wall, the heart muscle thickens, which obviously, because of the heart's a muscle, it's going to hypertrophy, which people think, oh, that's good. It's better. You have a stronger, bigger, literally a stronger, bigger, thicker heart. But in reality, this takes away from ejection volume, making your heart overall weaker, which is a negative thing. And this happens from using anabolic steroids, misuse or abuse for over 2 years. This has been documented. Anything over 2 years, if you're using, let's just throw a number out for you guys. If you're using 500 milligrams of if you're using 500 milligrams of testosterone or any other anabolic steroid, assuming the anabolic component is equal or greater than testosterone, you're going to have some heart wall thickening. Either a little bit or a lot of it. It's depending on genetics and how long you're doing that. But anything longer than 2 years, 500 milligrams or more, you're going to have some heart wall thickening. I can guarantee you that. And if you don't believe me, go to your doctor and have him do what? Have him do an echocardiogram. Please, before you comment and you bash what I'm saying here, if you've used anabolic steroids, anything over 500 milligrams for total time, not breaks, but total time, 500 milligrams for 2 years or more, you're going to have heart wall thickening, either minor or major. And before you say I'm wrong and call me a liar, even though I have all the medical studies to prove that, go ahead and go to your doctor, order an echocardiogram, and they will tell you exactly what I'm telling you. Again, not to rain on everybody's parade, but I'm going to talk about the pros as they are, unbiased and censored, all the pros. I'm also going to talk about all the cons, whether you guys want to hear it or not. Because people want to just talk about, all the good things, but they don't want to talk about the negatives. It's kind of like, when you get into college and everybody's drinking and drinking and drinking, and oh, you can feel, people want to focus on the good things and they don't want to focus on the bad things, like the car crashes and all of the stupid things people do when they're drinking. So anyways, rant going on, moving on. Primobolan, we talked on that. Plaque buildup on the arteries, cardiovascular disease, and heart wall thickening. And guys, one last thing. Even doing TRT, like through Prometheus, I'm prescribed 250 milligrams of testosterone SIP through Prometheus, puts me right to the top. Even doing that, I just talked to a cardiologist not too long ago. I was talking to a great cardiologist, and he told me, even doing TRT, you're going to increase plaque buildup a little bit in studies. It's proven. I'll have to do a video on that. Moving on. Con 2, and these are question marks. High blood pressure, question mark, kidney damage, question mark. Guys, in order to have high blood pressure and kidney damage from Primobolan, you would have to take very, very, very large amounts. We're talking major abuse. To cause high blood pressure, you'd probably need about 1,000 milligrams of Primobolan, in my opinion. Don't quote me on that. And to cause kidney damage, probably at least, close to double that, maybe 1,500, maybe 2,000 milligrams. But Primobolan, again, it's extremely gentle in terms of, I'm going to go on record and I'm going to say this. You're more likely at whatever dosage, whether it's 500, 1,000 milligrams, 1,500, you're more likely to have high blood pressure and kidney damage, because the high blood pressure will lead to kidney damage if the high blood pressure is sustained over long periods of time. But you're more likely to have high blood pressure leading to kidney damage from whatever dose of testosterone versus Primobolan. It's not strong in terms of androgenic effects, and you're not going to have the estrogen, the bloat, or any water weight pushing your blood pressure up either. So, high blood pressure, possible, not likely. Kidney damage, possible, but not likely. Let's talk about shutdown. Guys, Primobolan is, regardless what any gurus are telling you, because they're all wrong, Primobolan is going to shut you down hard, just like testosterone or DECA or SARMs. SARMs shut you down too. Most people don't know that. I mean, you could do 2 weeks of SARMs, go in, and your test levels will be nothing, almost nothing. Okay, I've seen the blood work on this, so it just blows my mind what people don't know and they don't want to talk about. So shutdown's going to shut you down hard. Liver toxicity. Now, liver toxicity question mark as a con. Now, with injectable Primobolan, no liver toxicity, like pretty much nothing, okay? However, with oral Primobolan, okay, with the acetate. That's what it is, yeah. The acetate version of Primobolan, which is the oral version. Liver toxicity is extremely low. However, we have a case reported in the medical literature where a 75, I believe he's either 75 or 76, 75-year-old man was given Primobolan to treat anemia, which is low red blood cell count. Guess what happened to him? He died. Okay, so the thing is that with frail elderly people, the doctors were not expecting that. But what happened, guys, long story short, we don't know what dosage they gave him either, but I assume it wasn't too over the top. This elderly man had bad anemia. They gave him oral Primobolan, not the injectable, but they gave him oral Primobolan to raise his red blood cell count. And this, weak 75-year-old man, it killed him. It raised his liver enzymes so high, and he went into liver failure. So when people tell you, okay, I'm not saying that's going to happen. By no means is that going to happen to, that's rare. That's rare for healthy young people. But the thing is, guys, and I want to put this out here again on the record for all the people to hate me for, and that's fine. Based on medical studies, not based on your bro science, based on medical studies, Primobolan, oral Primobolan, does have liver toxicity and it will damage your liver, depending on the dosage, okay? It's there. Again, that 75-year-old man, it killed him from liver toxicity. Obviously, he was weak to begin with. Absolutely not degrading him or anything. Not like that. I'm just saying physically weak. He was not in a good state. Poor man, condolences to him and his family. But the thing is that with Primobolan, with oral Primobolan, people that tell you and gurus that tell you, oh, it's not liver toxic, you can take so much of it. No, you can't. It's liver toxic. And every oral steroid is liver toxic to some degree, even oral Primobolan, okay? Point made, case closed, moving on. Let's go. High or low estrogenic sides? Question mark. Well, you're not going to have any estrogen conversion, so you're not going to have any high estrogen sides. However, for low estrogen, this is very possible because there's people that don't know that Primobolan does not convert to estrogen, and guess what they'll do? They'll run Primobolan as a standalone compound, and basically their estrogen will fall too low and they'll have low estrogen sides. I want to address the high estrogen thing real quick, though. Primobolan Unleashed, the anabolic steroid Primobolan, is one of the most faked anabolic steroids in the world. And most people are not getting this stuff pharmaceutically, unfortunately, or through their doctor. Most people that are getting Primobolan are getting it, black market. And the two drugs that are faked, and don't get anything off the black market to begin with, guys. If you live in a country where it's legal, get it pharmaceutical grade, and if you can get it through a doctor, even better. But again, do everything safely and legally. Having said that, Primobolan and Anavar are the two most faked anabolic steroids in existence. 9 times out of 10, somewhere around there, Primobolan is actually just testosterone. Okay, so can Primobolan cause high estrogen sides? No, but a lot of people that are taking Primobolan is actually testosterone, and with Anavar, it's a lot of the time Winstrol. So they're like, oh man, Anavar made my joints hurt. Well, that's because it's really Winstrol. All right, moving on. Highly faked and heavy metals. Well, we talked about the faked part already. Let's talk about the heavy metals for a second. One reason, guys, that one of the things that I've learned, and it's unfortunate, but it's true. And this is again why if you can do something pharmaceutical grade or do it with a prescription from your doctor, do it legally, safely, great. However, with Primobolan and other anabolic steroids, a lot of the time people are getting this stuff not pharmaceutical grade, and what happens? They're not pulling out the heavy metals, the people that are producing these powders, and they have heavy metals in them. And over time, it's not going to be an immediate effect, but over time, you're basically poisoning yourself, guys. So that's why, you're gonna pay a little bit more if you go through a doctor, or you have to get it pharmaceutical grade. I know Germany, and there's tons. The UK, there's tons of countries where you can just get whatever you want. But Even if it's cheaper, don't do it. Take your health seriously. Again, do everything, either through a doc with prescription because it's pharmaceutical, or if you live in a country where you can get this stuff, even Mexico, you can walk into the vet shop and buy. Don't get veterinarian grade. Always opt for the pharmaceutical choice, even if you have to pay double. Your health is worth it, guys, in the long run. Moving on in the cons. Actually, that's it for the cons. Primobolan, not too much to talk about in the cons. That's it. We talked about the pros. We talked about the cons. Unbiased, uncensored. Let's go and let's talk about dosage. So, I have to say this. In terms of dosage, don't do anything without talking to your doctor first, okay? However, this is my professional opinion. 200 to 500 milligrams of Primobolan per week injectable. Now, why this range? And I want to say something first on this. Never use Primobolan standalone. I would advise 100, probably closer to 150 to about 200. We'll make a range. 150 to 250 milligrams of testosterone per week, a TRT, either a mid-dose or a high-dose TRT. And then that would be 200 milligrams to 500 milligrams of Primobolan added on top. If you're opting out for the 500, you're going to want to do that short term. Again, we want to avoid heart wall thickening and also plaque buildup in the arteries, even though Primobolan's a little bit weaker. The reason that I would say you can do 500 is because, again, it's weaker. It does not have a super high anabolic component to it, like something like Anavar, which is almost 500 in the latest studies. Let's see here. That's pretty much it with dosage, guys. And again, talk to your doctor before you do anything. Moving on into extra information. Again, this is Primobolan Unleashed, so we're going to give you all the information you need. Guys, in regards to Primobolan, the biggest mistake people really make with Primobolan is that they don't run testosterone with it. If they're using the pharmaceutical grade stuff, people, they don't run tests with Primobolan, and you will crash your estrogen down to nothing, and you'll crash and burn. Type low estrogen sides into Google, and the list is extremely not pretty, okay? Low estrogen in men can make men extremely suicidal, feel terrible, and it's just, you're going to have joint pain and all these other nasty symptoms. It's not a good thing. Low estrogen in men is it's terrible, okay? You don't want that. So again, check with your doctor before you do anything I'm talking about, but you're going to want to use TRT with Primobolan to prevent estrogen from crashing. But, really, I don't have a ton of stuff to say on Primobolan. I've already said it all. So let's sum the video up with this. Primobolan. Primobolan is overall a good hormone or a good drug for both medical uses and performance uses. Like I said, already, it's been deemed and used extremely safe over the years since it has been released. Besides that thing that I talked about with oral Primobolan. So in terms of that, guys, that's pretty much all you need to know on Primobolan. This is Primobolan Unleashed. I'm Seth Spartan. Do everything safely and legally. And you guys guessed it, we are out of here.